Topical Tuesday is back with Wade and Luke this afternoon here on Drive, and the boys are back in the studio, but they've got a +1, and we'll start off firstly by introducing our special guest. Sam, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
I am turning 20 this year. I'm on my second year of uni studying film and television.
Well, it's great to have you joining us in the Crow studio on Topical Tuesday. I know the boys are really excited to have you here, Sam. Now, you guys want to talk about today's topic is opportunities.
So, I guess, what sort of opportunities do you guys think of? Because we've just come out of, for some of you, it's been 2 years out of school now. Damn. That's crazy. Oh my gosh, looking back, that's insane.
I won't say how many years.
But thinking of opportunities, the sort of opportunities we get when we're in school that are more, youth, based and all that, projects like, dancing through school, PCYC, etc. I guess, what sort of opportunities do you guys kind of think of when, in your age? Like, what sort of things come up in your lives?
A lot less than what we got when we're at school.
That's for sure. Because for me personally, I feel like uni was the only option as soon as we left school. I didn't know where else to really go from there.
Yeah, but like seriously though, I genuinely feel that there is still stuff like, all around the South Burnett, there's heaps of stuff to do. There's like club football and all that.
Do you think it's also, just on the note, you mentioned football, if you want to do any other sort of career when you finish school that's not sporting related or not hard labour kind of apprenticeship or job, do you think it's a little bit tricky finding the opportunities to do, like, for example, media or, IT or something like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think personally, from what I've researched when trying to find out new opportunities, when it comes to like a more adult, aged sort of, supported program or, activity, normally there's more chances of it being required that you pay a large amount of money to get involved, as well as a lot more paperwork. If you're going to be working with kids, say you're doing volunteering, you're going to have all those like blue cards and training to be able to be part of it. So yeah, like there's just, because like the sort of areas that you work with in those programs and projects, there's normally a lot more there, and it's a lot more practical. So especially with things like media, you have to be acting more on a professional level. So it requires a lot more of you.
You need the paperwork. The piece of paper that says you can actually do the job you're doing.
Yes.
I do believe though, when those opportunities do come, you really need to take them. Like, especially with like, those really rare opportunities when it comes around, and it's like, if you can do this, do it. Like, I honestly believe that you really need to jump on that sort of stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I feel like the specifics, like the paperwork, as you mentioned before, that it turns people away. But I feel like at some point, because the fact that there's not many opportunities as it is, like, it's hard to really find many good opportunities. I think you really just have to sort of put that aside and just go for it, because it'll always prove more beneficial to have that behind your back than, nothing.
So how would you guys suggest to anyone that, say, has been out of school or has just come out of school, how would you suggest finding those opportunities?
I highly suggest you need to be active. Like, you need to find something that you love to do and like have an active mindset on doing that sort of thing. So like, personally for me, it was always beatboxing. So I've had to look into ways to be able to continuously keep doing that. Obviously, I have to juggle my jobs around that, but like, you always need to be in the mindset of, okay, I need to keep doing this because this is what I want to do and this is what I'm going to work towards. But like, it's just like you need to constantly be in that frame of mind, where I feel like, especially like with things like, not even just jobs, but like stuff with passions and all that sort of stuff, I believe it's like about constant repetition and believing that, one day you are going to do this for a living.
And what would your comment be, Sam? Because you're doing tertiary education now. You're in uni. You're studying, I think you mentioned, cinematography, television, screen. So how do you find it now that you're in that tertiary education for opportunities?
I don't know. It kind of feels the same, because while you're doing it, you're kind of stuck in that little bubble, and it feels, especially while I'm in uni now, I feel like I can't reach out and do anything extra while I'm worrying about the burden of uni, because it's quickly become a burden in terms of how much it takes up your time, because it's a 3-year thing. And you don't really see the benefits of that until you're done. So I don't know.
So any words of advice, Wade, to those looking for opportunities now before we wrap up the segment?
Yeah, well, I'd say one thing that is really important to keep in mind is that while when you look at people that have succeeded in things and have gained their a profession or whatever in what they're passionate about, it all started with them researching or in some way like actually saying yes to that opportunity. And it might not happen straight away. There's always stepping stones that you got to take along the way. But that initial yes, and that, like Luke mentioned, motivation to actually, go and, succeed in what you want to do. You've always got to make sure you're saying yes to those opportunities.
Networking's another good thing too.
Yes,
get chatting to the right people. That's because you never know. And it could just be a basic conversation that you have with someone, but that conversation could then lead to that person saying, oh, well, I know someone you could have a chat to, and then you just never know what's going to come in the future. Well, that's been Topical Tuesday, taking on the topic of opportunities this week, and it's been good having you guys back in the studio, also with your additional guest, Sam. Great to meet you, Sam. Great to have you in the Crow studio, and we'll catch up with you guys back here next week.
Awesome.